Welcome to the Archives, where we dive into games long forgotten in our Steam libraries to find gems hidden within. Have you ever wanted to play Pokemon, but rather than capturing them, you murder them and then pick up a bit of their soul? Then enslave that part of their soul to fight against others of its kind. But instead of Pokemon, where barely anyone dies, you actually murder other Pokemon and people. Well, Fae Tactics understands this, so let's see what this game has to offer. Fae Tactics is a turn-based tactical RPG where we play as Peony, a witch. Witches are scary as they draw power from the Fae world. The Fae world is home to many creatures that cause havoc on the people in the material world. At least that's what it seems from the start. You take Peony and her dog plus bird dragon across the world to find allies, collect Fae, and help with the affairs of Fae and human alike. The story and decision of the games happen between cutscenes where you have no control, and then combat. Funnily enough, decisions that affect the ending happen mostly in combat, so let's get into that. The combat of the game has a big focus on elements. Each creature has an assigned element that sometimes changes based on equipment. Your element, based on the chart above, decides how much you hurt an enemy, so the game encourages you to plan out your loadout before each fight, as you get to look at the whole fight and the enemies, then allow yourself to change up your allies to give you the most optimal possible way to succeed. The combat itself is pretty simple and straightforward. You can never miss attacks unless blinded, and your damage is also consistent. Assuming you're not under any enchantment or curse, which means you're able to see if your attack would kill before committing to it. Combat interactions are kept fairly simple as you don't have a lot of skills you have to juggle. You attack an enemy. The only thing that could change it from your basic attack is your ultimate bar. If you have a full ultimate bar, you will just straight up use your ultimate. If you have a partial, later in the game you'll be able to use some of it for a slightly different powerful attack than your basic. Each element has an associated enchantment if you interact with an ally. For example, water will heal and cleanse allies. Fire will enrage them, letting them do more damage, etc. If you have a full ultimate bar, you will also do a super enchantment based on the character. Finally, if you don't choose to attack or assist an ally, you will have a waiting skill, which will automatically trigger if you don't do anything besides movement. As a note, only leaders / main characters get ultimate bars. All basic Fae summons / creatures don't. The game does a pretty good job at slow burning you into all the mechanics. If you're worried about being overloaded with all the mechanics all at once, like some tactical RPGs do, this one will not let that happen. Even if you do New Game Plus, which is a small gripe I do have with the game, as in New Game Plus, where you get to keep all the spells, summons you got from the previous, but get to start the story again and everything is a higher level, you will still have to go through that intro where you lose a chunk of the mechanics until you hit the mission that unlocks it. Small gripe, really. Now, as I said, your decisions happen mostly in combat. When you take down an enemy leader, they go into this down state. You can finish them off by hitting them equal to the amount of yellow bars they have, which will just straight up kill them if they run out. Most attacks do 1, but some will do 2 depending on the element. The game heavily encourages mercy and sparing your enemies, especially named enemies. The downside of doing this is that a down leader has a small number above their yellow bar. That's the amount of turns before they get back up with a portion of their health. Now, of course, you could knock them back down, but it can get pretty dangerous if not properly prepped. If you want all the unlocks, spells, etc., highly recommend sparing all the leaders that you can. If you ever gain a temporary ally in the party, make sure they stay alive as well. Now, generally, allies are way more durable. In fact, most of the time you don't even have to worry about them, which is funny because certain characters you get to add to your party will start off really strong and durable. However, the moment they enter the party, they get the nerf hammer pretty hard, it seems, which I won't fault the game for, since it's frustrating in video games when you have an escort quest of sorts and the AI ally is just an anchor wrapped around your throat. Overall, combat is pretty solid. Would recommend going into the settings and increasing the game speed to ×2, as when the battles get bigger, holy crap does it take forever to reach your turn. The overworld is pretty simple with 3 maps with several locations using a tab system on the left, as well as having access to your party, spells, summons to look them over and level up your leaders. You also get to spend your loot that you find, which comes in the form of components to make objects that help you on your journey, such as upgrading your bike to allow you to access more dangerous locations, or a necklace that allows your summons to not die instantly if they hit 0. You also get to cook, which is a simple card matching game that gives stats to your next fight. You can cook after every mission, and I would recommend you use this mechanic. It's literally free stats, but occasionally get some cutscenes. I think if I were to give a big overall critique, it'd be some of the emotional dissonance. Similar to my review of Metal Unit, emotions are displayed mostly by little emoticons. Sometimes it works, but when things get darker and more emotional, it feels off. I can give it a little bit of a pass considering this was made, as far as I could tell, by a single creator, and creating that many assets may have been too much. So, did I enjoy Fae Tactics? Overall, I really did enjoy the experience. I myself have played very little tactical RPGs. I know one of the biggest ones is Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem. I have not played either of them, so I recognize that I would not be able to see if this would or may not fill that scratch. However, for myself, I found myself really enjoying it and wanting to explore of the genre. So I would say this is a great game to introduce to someone to tactical gameplay like this. So if playing Fae Tactical Pokemon sounds interesting, maybe give Fae Tactics a try.